The first time I watched someone die, it was on my laptop, alone in my apartment, with the volume turned so low I could hear my own heartbeat over the audio. The man in the video was tied to a chair. His eyes were swollen, his breath fast and shallow, the kind of panicked breaths people take when they already feel death crawling up their spine. The room around him was nothing but concrete walls and a single hanging light bulb. I didn't know who he was. Not yet. But I knew the voice behind the camera. I recognized it instantly. It was mine. Even before the distorted audio said my name. "Do you remember what you did?" I felt my stomach turn to stone. I slammed the laptop, shut so hard the plastic cracked. For a moment, I just sat there, pressing my palms into my eyes, shaking, trying to convince myself I hadn't heard what I heard. My voice. My words. My breathing. But the man's gasps, those were real too. I reopened the laptop with trembling fingers. The video resumed automatically. The man was crying now. He was begging. "Please, I didn't mean please." And then the version of me in the video spoke again. Calm, controlled. Nothing like the way I sounded in my own head. "Everyone signs a contract," my voice said. "Even cowards like you." I felt something cold crawl down my back. The man's chair scraped against the concrete as he struggled. When the camera shifted, just slightly, I saw something on his neck, a tattoo, a small one. A compass. My throat closed. I knew who he was. His name was Tyler. He was one of us. Or he used to be. Before the assault. Before the trial. Before the day he took a settlement and walked away from the rest of us, refusing to testify, refusing to stand with anyone but himself. We hadn't spoken since. And now he was tied to a chair in a room I didn't recognize, begging someone with my voice to spare him. The camera zoomed in, too close. Close enough that I could see the fear in his pupils. Why are you doing this?" he sobbed. My voice answered him, smooth as glass. "Because the social contract has consequences." Then the screen went black. A single line of text appeared. 1 down, 6 to go. I shut the laptop again, this time slower, as if that would somehow erase what I'd seen. I stood up so fast the chair nearly fell over. I paced my living room, barefoot on cold tile, trying to breathe in slow, steady counts. 4 seconds in. Hold. 4 seconds out. It didn't work. The panic clawed up my ribs anyway. I didn't kill anyone. I knew I didn't. I would remember something like that. I would. I had to. Except for the blackouts. The missing time. The hours after certain nightmares when I'd find dirt under my nails, or bruises I couldn't explain, or texts I didn't remember sending. But killing someone. No. I would have known. Wouldn't I? I forced myself to sit. Forced myself to reopen the laptop a third time. The video loaded again. I watched the first 30 seconds, listening closely. My voice in the video was lower than usual. Steadier. It didn't break like mine did. It didn't rush. It controlled the entire room. I didn't sound like that. Not in real life. Not even in court. But I could have. If I wanted to. If I tried. A sudden knock at the door made me jump so hard my teeth clacked together. 3 knocks. Sharp. Vast. For a second, I couldn't move. Whoever was out there knocked again, louder this time. I forced my legs to work and walked to the door. My voice barely came out. "Who is it?" "It's Detective Hale." A pause. "Open up, Ms. Rivers." Detective Hale. My least favorite cop. Sharp jaw, cold eyes, judgment in every syllable. The kind of man who thought trauma was an excuse and women should get over it faster. I cracked the door just enough to see him. He looked tired. and angry, and sad. May I come in? No, I said instantly. He sighed. We need to talk. I didn't call the police, I said. I didn't file anything. You didn't have to. His eyes dropped to his phone. We found a body this morning. My stomach flipped. Who? He studied my face carefully. Tyler Morgan. The room tilted. I grabbed the doorframe. Hale nodded slowly. So you do know him? I swallowed hard. We used to. He waited for more. I didn't give it. What happened? I whispered. Hale closed his eyes for a second before speaking. He was found tied to a chair in an abandoned warehouse. Looked like he suffered a lot. His voice darkened. The killer filmed part of it. My heart stopped. For one brief second, everything inside me froze. There's more, Hale said. I didn't want to hear it. I knew what he was going to say. I felt the dread like ice in my throat. The video was sent to every member of your old survivor group, he said. Except you. I blinked. I didn't receive anything. Didn't you? He asked softly. I shook my head. My laptop on the table behind me glowed faintly. The screen still froze on that final line. 1 down, 6 to Geo. Hale glanced past me. Right at the laptop. His eyebrows tightened. Ms. Rivers, he said, is there something you'd like to tell me? My mouth opened, nothing came out. Because what was I supposed to say? That someone was killing the people from our old group. That the killer used my voice. My tone. My words. That someone was framing me, or mimicking me, or worse, someone knew me well enough to become me. Or that maybe I wasn't as safe inside my own head as I thought. Instead, I forced the smallest smile I could. No, detective, I don't know anything. He studied me for an uncomfortably long time. Then he handed me his card. Call me, he said quietly, if you remember anything. When he left, I didn't move. Not for a long time. I kept hearing Tyler's voice. The panic, the begging, the last broken breath. Then, my own voice overlapping his. Steady. Ice cold. Deadly. Because whether it was really me in that video or not, one thing was clear. Someone was killing us. One by one. And the next time I blacked out, I wasn't sure if I was going to wake up innocent. Or with blood on my hands. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a minute. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Tyler. Sweating, shaking. Locked in that chair. Begging someone with my voice to let him go. By sunrise, I'd replayed the video 5 more times. Looking for mistakes. Looking for proof it wasn't me. Looking for anything that would tell me what the hell was happening. The voice was close to mine, yes. The rhythm. The tone. The cadence of my sentences. But it wasn't perfect. There were tiny cracks, the way the words clipped at the ends, a slight metallic echo. A voice changer. Someone used one. Someone wanted it to sound like me. That thought should have calmed me. It didn't. Around 7 a.m., my phone buzzed. A message from a number I didn't know. No text. Just a link. My stomach dropped. It felt just like the moment before a car crash. When your hands tighten on the wheel. And you know there's nothing you can do. I tapped the link. It opened to a blank black screen. Then a video began. Not a murder this time. A courtroom. Deep brown wood. Rows of benches. Judge's bench looming at the front. My courtroom. Where I work as a defense attorney. The camera panned across the room slowly, like someone filming a memory. Then it settled on the witness stand. A picture was taped there. A face I hadn't seen in years. Madeline Pierce. Another survivor from our group. Her eyes were wide in the photo. Not frightened, just tired. The same tired she always carried. Then text appeared across the screen. The next trial BGNS tonight. The video ended. I felt everything inside me go cold. Madeline had been quiet for years. No social media. No contact. She never responded when any of us reached out after the trial. But she wasn't supposed to be next. She was harmless. She didn't betray anyone. If anything, she suffered more than all of us. Why would anyone target her? I called her. Straight to voicemail. Again. Again. Voicemail. Every time. I threw on clothes and drove straight to her last known apartment, a rundown place near the industrial district. The kind of building with peeling paint, dim hall lights, and air that always smelled slightly burnt. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Harder. Nothing. My breathing sped up again. I pressed my ear to the door. Silence. Not the silence of someone asleep. The silence of a place that had been abandoned for hours or days. I looked down. Her doormat was crooked, and there were drag marks in the carpet. Faint but there. 2 parallel lines leading from her doorway to the elevator. My chest tightened. I ran to the elevator, pressed the button, and waited. But the elevator doors were locked open, propped with a toolbox. The inside smelled faintly of bleach. I staggered back. Whoever took her made sure there wouldn't be evidence. Back in my car, I sat gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. Someone was hunting us. Someone who knew us. Someone who hated us. Someone who knew our trauma and was using it as a script. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Another link. This one was shorter. A single sentence on a black background. She did not finish her statement. Then, a clip. Madeline. Sitting in the witness stand. Not now, years ago. During the trial. Her voice quiet. Her eyes darting everywhere except at the defendant. She said, "I remember his hands." Then the clip cut abruptly. Then the killer's edited commentary appeared on the screen. A lie left unfinished is a crime. I felt nausea rise up my throat. They were punishing survivors for the things they couldn't say. My vision blurred with tears I didn't have time to feel. Another message came in. Don't be late. Then, midnight. Courtroom 3B. My heart stopped. They were setting a stage. A trial. And I was the only witness. No. The only intended witness. Or maybe the intended suspect. I drove straight to the courthouse. It was early, barely 10 a.m., but I had to see it. I had to know if they'd touched anything. Inside, the building felt taller than usual. Every footstep echoed too loud. Every hallway felt unfamiliar. Courtroom 3B was empty. The doors were unlocked. Inside, everything looked normal almost. Except one thing. On the judge's bench sat a folder. A manila folder with my name on the tab. There was a note on top. Case file, Rivers. Not a real case. Not one of mine. Hands shaking, I opened the folder. Inside was a picture of Tyler. Alive. From the video. His face frozen mid-terror. His eyes screaming. And beneath that, a single sheet of paper. Typed. Clean. Formatted like a police report. It read, cause of death, neglect. Primary suspect, Eleanor Rivers. My knees buckled. I grabbed the bench to keep from collapsing. This wasn't just someone copying me. This wasn't just someone framing me. This was someone building an entire case against me. Step by step. Piece by piece. Turning my life into a crime scene. Ms. Rivers. The voice behind me nearly made me scream. I turned. Detective Hale stood in the doorway. Arms crossed. Expression unreadable. "What are you doing here?" he asked. I swallowed hard. "I got a message." "What kind of message?" "A video," I said quietly. "About Madeline, you remember her." He nodded slowly. "The one who froze on the stand." "Yes." I hesitated. "She's missing." Hale's jaw tensed. "Are you sure? She disappears sometimes." "Not like this," I said. "Someone took her." "Did you see it happen?" "No, but..." "Then how do you know?" I opened my mouth, then closed it. I couldn't tell him about the drag marks or the bleach smell. Then he'd ask why I was in her building, what I was doing there, how I knew she lived there at all. So I lied. "I felt it," I said. "She wouldn't vanish without telling anyone." Hale studied me far too long. His eyes traveled to the folder in my hands. "What's that?" I hesitated. "I found it here." He held out his hand. "Let me see." I clutched the folder tighter. Everything inside me screamed, "Don't give it to him." Because that folder meant one thing. Someone wanted to prove I was the killer. If Hale saw it, he'd believe it. His eyes narrowed. "Ms. Rivers, hand it over." I slowly extended it. But just as he reached for it, a sound echoed through the courtroom. A soft beep. Like a timer. It came from under the witness stand. Hale froze. "What was that?" I stepped back instinctively. He drew his gun and moved toward the stand slowly. Beep. 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 He crouched and peered underneath. "What the..." He reached under and pulled out a phone. Burner style. Cheap. Black tape over the camera. The screen flashed. Live stream SDRTING. Hale dropped it like it burned him. The phone began playing a video automatically. We both watched. We both realized exactly what it was at the same time. Madeline. In the same concrete room Tyler had been in. Tied to a chair. Gagged. Eyes wide with terror. Her breaths were high and fast. Her shoulders shook. She stared straight into the camera, as if trying to beg through her eyes. Then my voice filled the room again. "Madeline. Calm. Controlled. Cold. You didn't tell the whole truth." Hale's head snapped toward me. His face twisted, with something between confusion and accusation. The video continued. Madeline shook her head violently. Tears streamed down her cheeks. My voice said, "The social contract requires honesty." Madeline screamed against the gag. The screen went black. 2 words appeared. "Tonight, midnight." The phone vibrated. A new message flashed across the screen. "Eleanor, don't be late." Hale stared at the screen. Then at me. His face drained of color. "Rivers," he said slowly, "you want to tell me why the hell your name is on that phone?" I felt everything inside me crumble. Because there was only one explanation. Someone wanted me in that courtroom at midnight. Someone wanted me to watch Madeline die. And worse, someone wanted Hale to believe I was the one doing it. Detective Hale didn't arrest me. Not yet. But he didn't take his eyes off me either. We stood in the courtroom a long time after the video ended, the silence between us thick enough to choke on. The burner phone sat on the floor where he dropped it, vibrating every few minutes with new messages neither of us dared to open. Hale broke first. "Rivers," he said quietly, "tell me you didn't know about this." "I didn't," I whispered. "I swear I didn't." He studied my face like he was reading a confession, hidden under my skin. Then he holstered his gun. "We're searching your apartment." My stomach sank. I felt the floor sway beneath me. "Hale, that wasn't a request." His voice was low, controlled, like he was trying not to lose his temper. I followed him out of the courthouse in silence. Nothing prepares you for seeing cops go through your home. It's like watching strangers open your diary, expose your secrets, analyze the dust under your bed as if it hides pieces of your soul. 2 uniformed officers followed us inside. I stood near the door, arms wrapped around myself, while they opened drawers, flipped through books, checked closets, searched behind the shower curtain. Hale watched them, hands on his belt, waiting. At first, everything was normal. My clothes, my paperwork, my messy desk. Then one of the officers called out, "Detective, you need to see this." Hale's head snapped toward the voice. He crossed the room, and the officer held something up. A black hoodie. Mine. Except I hadn't worn it in years. And on the inside of the sleeve, faint but unmistakable, was dried dirt. My throat tightened. "You want to tell me why this was stuffed behind your water heater?" Hale asked. I didn't put it there. I backed up a step. Then 2. The only time I touched that hoodie was, I don't even remember, years ago. Hale nodded slowly. "Go on." "I didn't hide it," I whispered. "Someone planted it." He watched me. No emotion. No sympathy. Just calculation. "And why would someone do that?" he asked. "To frame me," I said. "To make it look like I'm the one kidnapping them." "Are you?" Hale asked. The question hit me like a slap. I felt heat rise in my face, anger, humiliation, fear. "No," I said sharply, "I'm not." He didn't apologize. Didn't soften. Just turned to the officer. "Bag it, label it." The officer nodded and slipped the hoodie into an evidence bag. I felt sick. Someone had been in my home. Someone walked through my private space, touched my things, planted evidence carefully and confidently. And I hadn't noticed. I wrapped my arms tighter around myself. That wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the part of me, small but growing, that whispered, "What if it really was me? What if I put it there during a blackout? What if I've been losing pieces of myself without realizing it?" I pushed the thought down. Hard. Hale turned next to the small metal cabinet near my couch. I rarely opened it, just old documents and some personal letters inside. He tried the handle. "Locked." "Key?" he asked. "In the bowl by the door," I muttered. He retrieved it, inserted it, and turned. The lock clicked open. He pulled the drawer out. I felt the color drain from my face. Inside were a pair of black gloves, a roll of silver duct tape, a burner phone, identical to the one in the courtroom, a folded piece of paper, a USB drive. I staggered back until my spine hit the wall. "No," I breathed. "No, that wasn't in there, that wasn't." My voice broke. Hale didn't say anything. He took the folded paper out and handed it to me. "What is it?" he asked. My hands shook violently as I opened it. 4 words. Neat. Centered on the page. "You in control." My stomach twisted so hard I thought I'd vomit. Who wrote this? Who broke into my apartment? Who knew exactly how to terrify me? The room blurred for a moment. I blinked rapidly. Hale was watching me. "Rivers," he said, "did you put this here?" "No," I whispered. "Someone wants you to think I did." "Then they're doing a damn good job." His voice wasn't cruel, only exhausted. Suspicious. Worried. Not for me. For the case. One of the officers handed Hale the USB drive. He didn't plug it into his own laptop. He didn't dare. "Get the tech guys to handle this," he told the officer. "Don't open it here." But as the officer walked away, the burner phone on my table buzzed. A new message. From unknown. "Check the drive. Don't let HIM leave with it. My breath stopped. Hale's eyes flicked to the phone, then to me. Who's texting you? I don't know, I whispered. Eleanor, he said quietly, are you protecting someone? No. I snapped. Then softer. No, I'm not. Hale held out his hand. Give me the phone. I can't, I stammered. Why? Because someone wanted me to look first. Someone wanted me to see something before the police did. But I couldn't tell him that. Instead, I said, it's evidence. And evidence belongs to us, Hale replied. I handed it over reluctantly. He glanced at the screen, jaw tightening at the message, then slipped the phone into an evidence bag. Rivers, he said slowly, someone is playing a very dangerous game with you. With us, I corrected. This isn't personal, it's systematic. Hale shook his head. I'm not convinced. It hit fast. 1 second I was standing. The next my vision tunneled, and my breaths came in short, rapid gasps. The walls felt too close. My heart hammered so violently it hurt. My fingers tingled. My knees buckled. The next thing I knew, Hale was in front of me, steadying my shoulders. Rivers, hey, breathe. I couldn't. I couldn't catch a full breath. My chest felt like it was collapsing. I grabbed onto his shirt without thinking. His voice softened, not kind but focused. Look at me, in, out, slow. I tried. It didn't work. One of the officers moved closer. She's hyperventilating. Hale guided me to the couch gently, the first gentle thing he'd done since this case began. Sit down, he said. Deep breaths, you're fine, you're safe. Safe. In my apartment. Where someone planted evidence. Where they left a message. Where they might still have a key. I shook my head violently. I'm not safe, I whispered. No one is. Hale waited until my breathing slowed. Then he sat across from me, leaning forward, elbows on his knees. There's something I didn't tell you, he said. I lifted my head. He hesitated, rare for him. His voice dropped to a low, serious tone. Tyler wasn't the only body found today. I froze. What? Hale looked at the floor, choosing his words carefully. A second body turned up just before I arrived at your apartment. Same setup as Tyler, tied to a chair, same room. Same method. My blood went cold. Who? I whispered. Hale met my eyes. Daniel Rhodes. I felt my heart stop. No. No. Daniel Rhodes. The attacker. The man who assaulted us. The man who walked free. He was dead. Dead in the same place Tyler died. Killed by the same person. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I whispered. Because, he said softly, your name was written on the wall behind his body. My breath caught. What? In red marker, Hale said. Eleanor Rivers, retribution. The room tilted again. Someone was framing me for the death of the man who destroyed our lives. And worse, someone wanted the world to believe. I was killing everyone connected to that case. Survivors. Witnesses. And now, the attacker himself. Hale stood. I'm putting a temporary tail on you, he said. For your protection and everyone else. I nodded numbly. And Eleanor, he added, pausing at the door. Yes. If this killer is trying to make it look like you're doing this. He hesitated. Then they know you, personally. A chill crawled up my spine. Someone from the group, I whispered. Someone close enough to imitate you, Hale replied. Someone who knows your voice. Your habits. Your past. He held my gaze. Someone who knows exactly how to break you. Then he left, leaving me alone in an apartment that suddenly felt like a crime scene. The apartment felt wrong after Hale left. Too quiet. Too still. Every shadow seemed deeper than it should be. Every sound sharper. Someone had been inside. Someone had touched my things, opened my drawers, walked across my floors with calm confidence, rearranging my world as if they owned it. And there was no guarantee they weren't coming back. I sat on the couch, arms wrapped around my knees, unable to stop replaying Hale's last words. Someone who knows you. Someone close enough to imitate you. Someone who knows exactly how to break you. Someone from the group. Someone from us. My phone buzzed. I flinched so hard it hurt my neck. Unknown number. Again. I hesitated before opening it. A link. Of course. Always a link. With hands that barely felt real. I tapped it. The screen went black. Then a video began. A body. Tied to a chair. But this time, it was Tyler. It was Madeline. It wasn't the attacker. It was Rebecca Hale. Detective Hale's younger sister. She had been part of our group. Quiet, withdrawn. The kind of person who spent the entire support meeting twisting tissue between her fingers. But never spoke. We hadn't talked in years. She sat in the same concrete room. The same chair. Her wrists tied. Feet bound. Gagged. Eyes red from crying. Her breath came in sharp, shallow bursts that shook her shoulders. My stomach twisted. Why her? Why now? Before I could think any further, my voice filled the room again. Calm, level, controlled. Rebecca. She froze. Her body went stiff. Her eyes squeezed shut like hearing my voice hurt. You didn't tell the truth, the voice continued. Rebecca shook her head violently, tears spilling down her cheeks. You stayed silent, my voice said. And silence is guilt. Rebecca thrashed in the chair. The rope cut into her wrists. Her cries were muffled, desperate. I felt my own breath catch. Tears stung my eyes. Stop, I shouted at the screen. Her wide, terrified eyes looked straight into the camera. Straight at me. The screen cut to black. 2 words appeared. Tonight. Alone. A second line appeared. We finish what you started. My pulse roared in my ears. No. No, I never hurt her. I never hurt anyone. This wasn't me. This was someone using my past against me, my voice against me, my nightmares against me. Someone who wanted me involved. Someone who wanted Hale to see Rebecca next. I forced myself to breathe. In. Out. Don't fall apart, not yet. I stared at the screen, hands trembling. Another line appeared. 3 down, 4 to GO. My throat closed. There were 7 of us in the group. Tyler. Madeline. Rebecca. 3 gone. 4 of us left. Me included. A knock at the door shattered the silence. I jumped so violently, I nearly dropped the phone. Eleanor, a voice called. A voice I hadn't heard in years. Soft. Wary. Male. I froze. No. It couldn't be. Eleanor, it's me, Justin. My heart lurched. Justin Blake. The youngest member of our group. Barely 20 when the assault happened. He had testified. Shaking. Crying. But he had testified. He'd also disappeared right after the trial ended. Moved to another city, changed his number, cut everyone off. I hurried to the door and opened it. He stood in the hallway, looking smaller than I remembered. Thin, nervous, hair grown out, clothes wrinkled. His eyes darted around like he expected someone to jump out at him. Justin, I breathed, what are you doing here? He stepped inside quickly and shut the door behind him. You need to listen to me, he whispered. I didn't know where else to go. My stomach twisted. What happened? Why now? Have you seen anything? Did someone contact you? I've been getting messages, he cut in. Since last week. Messages? Of course. My chest tightened. What kind? I asked. He dug into his pocket and pulled out a small, folded paper. My breath caught when I saw it. Same formatting. Same typeface. Same crisp, clean fold. He handed it to me. I opened it. 4 words. The same 4 words. You in control. A chill crawled slowly up my spine. When did this show up? I whispered. Slipped under my door, Justin said. I thought it was a prank until Tyler's death went public. I sank onto the edge of the couch. Justin, why didn't you go to the police? He gave a humorless laugh. Because they wouldn't believe me. Or you. Or any of us. He wasn't wrong. I swallowed hard. Justin, I said slowly, the killer is framing me. They're copying my voice, sending videos to me, planting evidence. I know, he cut in. My breath hitched. You know. He nodded. Because they're trying to frame me too. I stared at him. What? They left something in my apartment. His voice cracked. A video of me. My pulse spiked. A video of you doing what? His eyes watered. He blinked hard. Hurting someone, he whispered. Someone tied to a chair. Someone crying. He swallowed. But I wasn't there. I swear I was. I don't know who filmed it or how they made it look like me. My mind spun. Someone wasn't just framing me. They were framing multiple members of our survivor group. Which meant they weren't trying to pin everything on one of us. They were trying to make us turn on each other. Divide. Distrust. Destroy. And then, one by one, die. I forced myself to hold eye contact with him. Justin, when was the last message? He hesitated. An hour ago. His voice trembled. It said, see you tonight. My blood ran cold. Where? I whispered. He pointed at my phone. Same place they're sending you. Courtroom 3B. Midnight. They wanted both of us there. No. They wanted all survivors who were still alive. I felt a sudden, sharp clarity. This isn't about revenge, I said. Justin looked at me, confused. This is ritual, I continued. Punishment, a twisted version of justice. A mock trial reenactment. Justin sank onto the couch, shaking. Alina, he whispered, do you think he's back? He didn't have to specify who. Daniel Rhodes. Our attacker. He was dead. Hale said he was dead. But what if? No, I said quickly. He's not doing this. Someone else killed him. Justin's eyes widened. He's dead. I nodded slowly. He died the same way as Tyler. Justin looked sick. So, someone killed the monster, and all of us. No, I corrected quietly. Someone is killing us to finish what the monster started. Justin stared at me. You think it's one of the survivors, he whispered. I didn't answer. But I did. Deep down I did. Someone who knew the group. Someone who knew our traumas. Our secrets. Our fears. Someone whose pain had twisted into something else. Maybe guilt. Maybe obsession. Maybe hatred. The thought made my stomach twist. I stood. I need to call Hale. Justin grabbed my arm suddenly. Hard. No, he said, fear flashing in his eyes. If he knows I'm here, he'll think I'm involved. He'll arrest me, Alina. He'll blame me. His grip tightened. For a moment. Just a moment. I saw something in his eyes. Not fear. Something darker. Then it disappeared as fast as it appeared. He released me, shaking his head. I didn't mean, I'm sorry, I'm just scared. I nodded slowly. I know. I moved toward the kitchen to get him water, my hand still trembling, when my phone buzzed again. Another message. Another link. Justin and I both stared at the screen. I opened it. A live feed. Rebecca. Still alive. Still tied. Still crying. A countdown appeared underneath her. 0 to 13:56. 0 to 13:55. 0 to 13:54. Justin gasped. What is that? He whispered. A timer, I said. For what? I swallowed hard. For her death. Justin stepped back. They want us to watch. No, I whispered. The realization hit me all at once, cold and heavy. They want us to come. Justin turned pale. Eleanor, who would do this? I stared at the screen. At Rebecca. At her shaking shoulders. Her whispered sobs. And I said it aloud for the first time. Someone in our group. The timer kept ticking on my screen. Rebecca's quiet, muffled whimpers played through the speakers. Soft and shaky, like a child crying into a pillow. Every sound hit me right in the nerves, sharp and electric. My hands shook. Justin paced behind me, breathing too fast. We can't just go there, he said. They're expecting us. It's a trap. I know, I said, staring at the timer. But if we don't, she dies. Justin stopped packing and leaned against the wall, pressing his hands over his face. This is insane. This is psychopath stuff, Eleanor. Whoever is doing this, they're not human. They're human, I said quietly. That's what scares me. He lowered his hands and looked at me like I'd said something impossible. If they're human, how can anyone do this? I didn't answer. Because I'd seen the answer before. In court. In files. In trauma support groups. In people whose pain had grown teeth. Because broken people could do terrible things. I forced myself away from the screen and headed for my desk. We need the old group records, I said. Attendance sheets, notes, anything. Justin blinked. Why? Because someone knew us too well. Someone who kept track. Someone who paid attention when the rest of us were trying not to fall apart. He swallowed hard. You think one of us planned this, back then? Or after, I said, but it started somewhere. I dug through my cabinet. Papers scattered, old files, old notebooks. Until I found a binder I hadn't opened in years. The support group binder. Dark blue cover. Bent from being stuffed into backpacks and shoved under chairs during meetings. Justin let out a shaky breath. God, I haven't seen that since. Since before everything broke, I finished for him. We sat on the floor together and opened it. The first pages were basic. Group rules. Confidentiality agreement. Emergency contacts. Attendance sheets. Tyler's name. Madeline's name. Rebecca Hale. Justin Blake. Me. And 2 others. Sasha Trenton. Mark Dwyer. I frowned. I haven't thought about Mark in years. Justin's eyes darkened. He left early, dropped out, said it wasn't helping. He didn't testify, I added. Justin nodded. He said it was too much pressure. I remembered now, Mark always sat in the far corner, arms crossed, never talking. Every meeting he got more and more agitated, until he finally stood up in the middle of a session and walked out. We never saw him again. I flipped to the notes section next, handwritten observations from the group leader, little summaries of each session. I skimmed quickly. Madeline struggled to speak today. Tyler very anxious. Justin tremors in hands. Rebecca cried silently for much of the session. Then, my fingers froze. A page with only 1 line. Mark stayed afterward to ask about the others, personal schedules. My breath hitched. Justin leaned closer. What? I read it again. Why would he ask that? Justin whispered. I didn't answer. The next page had another note. Mark insists he needs to hold us all together. Very fixated on group unity. Concerning. Justin's face paled. Unity, he whispered. Eleanor, the killer keeps talking about the social contract, about us breaking it. I nodded slowly. And Mark always talked about us being a unit, a circle, a contract. Justin swallowed. We need to find him. I flipped deeper into the binder. And a sheet fell out. A torn page. Edges ripped. Handwriting ragged. It wasn't from the group leader. It was from Mark. Big letters, harsh pressure from the pen. Some of you are lying. Some of you are weak. I won't let HIM win. I will finish what you started. My heart hammered. Justin whispered, oh my God. He backed up until he hit the wall. Eleanor, that's the same thing the videos say, the same language. I read the page again. Every line buzzed through my head like electricity. Some of you are lying. The killer punishes liars. Some of you are weak. The killer ties survivors to chairs and calls their silence weakness. I won't let HIM win. The attacker is already dead, killed by the same person killing us. I will finish what you started. The killer told me the same thing. My hands began to shake. My voice was barely a whisper. Mark, it was Mark. Justin paced, running both hands through his hair. He hates us. He must hate us. He thinks we failed. He thinks we didn't fight hard enough. He blamed us for the attacker walking free, I said. Justin's voice trembled. And now he's punishing us for it. The room suddenly felt too small. Too dark. Too claustrophobic. I grabbed my phone again. 01-1442. 01-1441. 01-1440. Rebecca was still alive. Still tied. Still crying softly, shoulders shaking. Eleanor, Justin whispered, I don't think she'll survive an hour. My jaw tightened. We're going. Justin stared at me like I'd lost my mind. We can't, he wants us there, he'll kill us too. If we don't go, I said, Rebecca dies alone. Justin pressed both hands over his mouth. I continued, voice low. And if Mark is doing this, if he hates you and me for what we did or didn't do, hiding won't save us. He'll come for us anyway. Justin's hands dropped. He looked at the screen. At Rebecca. At the way she tried to pull her wrists free until the rope dug deeper into her skin. At the way she gasped, shaking her head, like begging the camera to stop. His voice cracked. She didn't deserve this. None of us did, I said. But this wasn't about what we deserved. It was about what Mark believed. My phone buzzed again. But this time, not from unknown. Detective Hale. I answered instantly. Hale. His voice came through low and uneven. Not like him. Eleanor, look, I need you to listen very carefully. What's wrong? There was a long, heavy pause. I found something, he said. In my sister's apartment. My blood ran cold. What? He exhaled shakily. She was investigating someone. Investigating who? Hale's voice cracked in a way I'd never heard from him. Mark Dwyer. She wrote his name on every page. Justin's eyes widened. Eleanor, Hale continued, I think he's been watching all of you for years. My pulse skyrocketed. Hale, Rebecca is alive. The killer is keeping her alive until midnight. I know, he said softly. What? I whispered. Hale's voice dropped even lower, thick with fear. I'm in the same room as her. My stomach dropped. What? I found the location, he said quickly. It's the industrial district, Old meat packing building. I'm here right now. The timer on the wall. Rebecca is breathing. I don't know where the suspect is. The call cut out. Dead silent. Hale, I shouted. Hale. Nothing. The screen flashed. A new message from unknown. The judge has ARRIVD. Justin's voice trembled behind me. Oh God, he's not going to kill Hale, is he? I didn't answer. Because right then, the feed on my phone changed. Rebecca, sobbing, shaking, lifted her head. Behind her, just barely visible in the shadows, was Hale. Gagged, tied, eyes wild with panic. The countdown kept ticking. Justin backed away, shaking his head violently. No, this is too big, this is. My voice came out as a whisper, cold and certain. We're going. Justin grabbed my arm. Alina, he'll kill us. I pulled my arm free. No, I said. Eyes locked on the screen. He wants us to arrive. Justin stared at me in horror. Why would he want that? I swallowed hard. Because Mark isn't just killing us. My voice shook. He's putting us on trial. The industrial district smelled like rust and cold metal. A place forgotten by everyone except ghosts and criminals. Justin and I stood outside the old meat-packing plant, its windows blacked out, its walls stained from years of rain and time. The night air was sharp, the kind that makes your lungs sting when you breathe too fast. The countdown on my phone. 00, 1954. 00, 1953. Rebecca and Hale didn't have long. Justin's hands shook as he pulled his hood lower. Alina, once we go inside, he's not letting us walk out. He needs us alive, I said, though I didn't fully believe it. Not for long, Justin whispered. I pushed the rusted metal door. It wasn't locked. It gave way with a low groan. Like the building itself was warning us to turn back. But we stepped inside. The air was cold enough to bite. The floor creaked under our steps, echoing into the darkness. Dim emergency lights buzzed overhead. The shadows were thick. Too thick. The place had been cleaned out except for a narrow path marked with white tape on the ground, a straight line leading deeper inside. Alina, Justin whispered, this is a setup. I know. My heart hammered with every step. At the end of the taped path, a single door waited. Light seeped under it, flickering, sickly yellow. The timer hit. 00, 1503. I grabbed the handle. Justin grabbed my arm. Wait. But I opened it. The sight hit me like a blow. Rebecca sat tied to the chair, wrists bound, hair hanging in her face. Tear-streaked, trembling. Barely conscious. Hale was tied to a second chair beside her, gagged, ropes digging into his arms, his expression pure fury and fear all at once. His eyes locked onto me instantly. He shook his head violently. Run. I didn't run. Justin stepped in beside me, breathing hard. And then, the door on the opposite side of the room opened. Footsteps. Steady. Slow. Measured. A figure stepped in. Mark Dwyer. Except he didn't look like the quiet man from group meetings years ago. He looked composed. Cold. Eyes sharp and calculating. Standing straighter than I'd ever seen him. Like he had grown into something else, something dangerous, during all the years he disappeared. He smiled faintly. Alina, he said softly, you came. My breath left me in one sharp exhale. Mark, I whispered. He spread his arms like welcoming an old friend. Welcome to the trial. Justin stumbled backward, hitting a metal pole with a rattling clang. Mark looked at him and smiled almost gently. Justin, good, all my witnesses are here. What are you doing? Justin's voice broke. This isn't justice, this is murder. Mark nodded slowly. Yes, justice requires consequence, and consequence requires sacrifice. His eyes moved to Rebecca and Hale. I told the world what would happen, he said. But nobody listens to warnings. I stepped between him and the others. What do you want from us? Mark tilted his head. I want the truth. He took a slow step forward. You all lied, he said calmly. Lied on the stand, lied to the police, lied to the group. You lied about what happened each night. My chest tightened. That isn't true. It is true, Mark snapped, a flash of anger breaking through his calm mask. You left out details. You forgot things. You doubted yourselves. You let the monster walk free because you weren't strong enough to remember exactly what he did to each of us. Justin clenched his fists. We were traumatized, Mark. You can't hold that against us. Mark ignored him. I remembered everything, he said quietly. Everything he did, every word, every touch, every moment of pain. I remembered it all. And I stood there in court while each of you broke down and left holes in the case the defense walked right through. His voice grew darker. I trusted you, and you failed me. I shook my head. Mark, we didn't fail you, the system failed all of us. He took another step. No, you failed, you lost focus. You got scared, you cried, and he walked free. He pointed at Rebecca. She never spoke. Pointed at Justin. He was shaking so badly, they barely understood him. Pointed at me. And you froze, the jury watched you fall apart. Hale made a muffled sound behind the gag, shaking his head violently. Mark didn't look at him. You all let him win, Mark said softly. And someone needed to finish the job. My stomach twisted. You killed him, I whispered. You killed the attacker. Mark smiled slightly. I did what none of you could. I stepped closer, steady, even though my knees shook. Then why kill everyone else? Mark's smile faded. Because the contract was broken. What contract? Mark tapped his temple. The social contract, he said. 7 survivors, 1 story, a bond. We promised to stay together, to protect each other, to tell the truth. He looked at Rebecca. She stopped coming. He looked at Justin. He moved away. He looked at me. You forgot us. I didn't forget, I whispered. Yes, you did, he said softly. You all did. The moment you could breathe again, you left each other behind. You let the circle crack. His eyes grew distant, like he was seeing something behind me. I stayed loyal, the only one, and loyalty deserves reward. Justin whispered, terrified, You're insane. Mark didn't flinch. No, he said calmly. I'm awake. Mark reached behind his back and pulled out a small device, a detonator connected to a wire that trailed across the floor to a metal box near Rebecca's feet. My heart nearly stopped. No bombs. Please no. But he lifted it and smiled gently. It's not explosive, he said. It's for time. He pressed a button. The countdown reset. Rebecca let out a weak sob. Hale struggled violently, chair rattling against the floor. Justin grabbed my arm hard. Eleanor, we need to do something. Mark turned to us. But I haven't told you the real reason, he said softly. My heart pounded. What reason? Mark walked to Hale and rested a hand on his shoulder. Hale's entire body went rigid. Detective Hale, Mark said gently, put all of this in motion. My eyes widened. No, I whispered. Justin stared, confused. What are you talking about? Mark looked at me. You never wondered why the case collapsed so easily, why every piece of evidence disappeared at the worst moment, why the prosecution lost so suddenly. I froze. This man, Mark said, patting Hale's shoulder, made a deal with the attacker's lawyer. His sister got caught with drugs. He traded evidence for her freedom. My breath left me. Rebecca. Hale's little sister. Justin gasped. Hale did that. Hale shook his head violently, making desperate, muffled sounds. He doesn't deny it, Mark shouted. He knows what he did. Rebecca sobbed harder, shaking her head no. I stared at her. Rebecca, is it true? She cried harder, but nodded. That's when it hit me. Everything suddenly made sense. Mark didn't kill her to punish her. He kidnapped her to punish him. The whole revenge plan. All the murders. The messages. The trial. They were aimed at Hale. Not us. We were just collateral. Mark lifted the timer again. 10 minutes, he said quietly. Either you kill Hale, or they both die. My heart stopped. No, I whispered. I won't kill anyone. Then they die, Mark said simply. Justin stepped forward suddenly. Stop. Mark turned toward him. Just as Justin lunged. They slammed into each other, crashing into a metal rack. Tools scattered on the floor. The steel echoed around the room. I rushed toward Rebecca. My fingers shook as I struggled with the knots. Come on, come on. Hale made a sound behind me. A muffled warning. I turned just in time to see Mark reach for a metal pipe on the floor. Justin, I screamed. Justin stumbled backward. Mark swung. The pipe hit Justin's shoulder with a sickening thud. No gore, but the impact made him drop to his knees, gasping in pain. Mark lifted the pipe again. I shoved him. Hard. He stumbled, dropping the pipe, surprised enough for me to grab it and throw it across the room. Eleanor, he said softly, you don't want to fight me. I do, I said. For the first time, he frowned. You're disappointing me. I know. Justin crawled away, holding his shoulder in agony. Mark reached into his pocket, pulled out a knife. Small. Sharp. Deadly. My heart pounded. He stepped toward me. Someone has to finish the story, he whispered. Someone will, I said. And I reached for the metal chain dangling from the ceiling, one I'd noticed earlier when we walked in. I yanked it down. The heavy industrial light above us swung fast and smashed into Mark's head. He collapsed onto the floor. Not dead, but dazed, stunned. I ran to the metal box by Rebecca's feet and ripped open the cover. Inside was the timer, connected to a simple circuit controlling an oxygen valve. Rebecca wasn't going to explode. She was being suffocated slowly. I tore the wires out with shaking hands. The timer froze. 00:03:12. Rebecca gasped, breathing full air again. Hale slumped in relief. I untied both of them, hands trembling. Justin limped over, holding his shoulder. Is he dead? He asked, voice shaking. I turned. Mark was trying to push himself up. Bloody nose, dazed eyes, but alive. No, I said. Hale staggered forward, pulling off the gag. We arrest him, Hale rasped. He stands trial. He faces what he did. Mark looked up at us and smiled a broken, haunting smile. You broke the contract, he whispered. And now you think this is justice. His eyes locked onto mine. I finished what he started. Now you'll never forget. Police sirens echoed outside. Hale grabbed Mark and forced him to the ground as officers poured in. Rebecca sobbed in relief. Justin collapsed against the wall. I just stood there, numb, shaking, alive, but knowing nothing would ever feel the same. Mark survived. He was charged with multiple murders and attempted murder. He smiled at every court date. Rebecca recovered physically, but emotionally she was shattered. Justin moved far away again. He texts sometimes, not often. Hale lost his badge. And his sister. He tried to apologize. Rebecca refused to speak to him. I walk by the courthouse sometimes, not to go inside, just to look at the door. Courtroom 3B. The room where everything began, and where everything ended. Mark wanted to bind us together forever. In a way, he did. Not through unity. Through scars. Some justice came. But too late. And too heavy. The contract broke. The survivors broke. And I survived. That was the cost.